Hello, I'm Philip Rice from St Giles Church in Desborough. Now, chapter 58 of the book of the prophet Isaiah begins with a reminder of what is at the heart of true worship, and then proclaims a call to stand up for justice and equality. Shout it loud, it says, do not hold back, raise your voice like a trumpet, declare to my people their rebellion, and to the descendants of Jacob their sins. For day after day they seek me out, they seem eager to know my ways, as if they were a nation that does what is right, and has not forsaken the commands of its God. They ask me for just decisions, and seem eager for God to come near them. Why have we fasted, they say, and you have not seen it? Why have we humbled ourselves, and you have not noticed? Yet on the day of your fasting you do as you please and exploit all your workers. Your fasting ends in quarrelling and strife, and in striking each other with wicked fists. You cannot fast as you do today and expect your voice to be heard on high. Is this the kind of fast I've chosen, only a day for people to humble themselves? Is it only for bowing one's head like a reed and for lying in sackcloth and ashes? Is that what you call a fast, a day acceptable to the Lord? Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen, to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood? Meanwhile, in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus echoes this appeal for genuine righteous ways of living, and coupling these passages together reminds us that Jesus' bid to be salt and light was not a new teaching, but a reminder to understand the message of the prophets. We need to follow carefully what God has said through his prophets, and explore the ongoing need for us to stand up for justice and equality. As Jesus said in part of that Sermon on the Mount, do not think I've come to abolish the law or the prophets. I've not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I tell you, until heaven and earth disappear, not the smallest letter, not the least stroke of a pen will by any means disappear from the law until everything is accomplished. Therefore, anyone who sets aside one of the least of these commands and teaches others accordingly will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever practices and teaches these commands will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. He also says in the Sermon on the Mount, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Isaiah said that if we do all the things he said in the opening verses of chapter 58, about feeding the hungry, giving shelter to the wanderer, clothing the naked, loosening the chains of injustice, he says, then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you. The glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call the Lord, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and he'll say, here am I. Now, we've been studying the practice of fasting in our small groups at St Giles, and this week's subject is prayer. Now, I fasted in the past as part of my weight loss program and lost almost 2 stone on the ELF diet, ELF, eat less food. I achieved this partly by eating smaller portions, like putting less breakfast cereal in my bowl, or having 3 roast potatoes for Sunday lunch instead of 4, and partly by fasting once a week. So I would eat breakfast on Wednesday morning, then miss the next 3 meals, so that the next one I had was lunch on Thursday. I found this a bit easier than missing 3 meals all on the same day, which will result in no food for at least 36 hours. My sole purpose was to lose weight, and it in no way helped me in my discipleship. Now, according to the Practicing the Way notes, fasting and prayer go together. Like 2 wings of a bird, it says. Together they take flight. In other words, by approaching God with both fasting and prayer together, our faith and discipleship can take flight. You can pray without fasting. You can fast without praying, as I did, to lose weight. But when you do both together, there's a noticeable amplification of your prayer life, and your discipleship begins to soar. I can definitely attest to the fact that fasting helps to get your body in good shape. But what do we have to do to get our discipleship in good shape? Well, we're now called to practice prayer and fasting together. Perhaps then it would be good to focus our prayers during our fast on some of the things Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount. And having linked the verses of Matthew 5 with those in Isaiah 58, we can pray about justice and equality, about feeding the hungry, about giving shelter to the wanderer, clothing the naked, loosening the chains of injustice. And goodness me, there's a lot of injustice in the world for us to pray about. And if we ask God to guide us in what we might do to help those who are suffering from injustice or inequality, then, as he says, then you will call and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help and he will say, "Here am I." Incidentally, the fourth aspect of fasting is entitled "To Stand with the Poor," which will be coming up soon, and also focuses on that teaching in Isaiah 58. So I've slightly preempted it, but focusing our prayers on justice and equality now means we'll be well prepared. Amen.